Good morning, everyone. So we're going to be doing a little bit of a tutorial. This is a little bit less scripted, so I apologize if things don't particularly line up or if my editing is a little jumpy. We'll see about that. So today we're going to be going through animations and transitions, specifically for shaders. So I think we're going to go ahead and get started. Open up your project of choice, and I believe I still have that same project that we were working on last time. So preferably this type of project works very, very well if you have two separate textures in general. So if you have a, say, like light mode and dark mode, like what I've done before on my Phoenix, or on my Dragon, I've done the same type of thing. It's better to have two separate textures ready to go, so you don't have to worry about making them again. So definitely have that ready before you start this, or have a clear idea of what you want. What I plan on doing in this one is probably just using a pre-made texture and using that to transition to, just to make it a little bit easier. So we're going to pick out, of course, where your avatar was. Wherever you last left it uploaded, of course, is probably the easiest way to do it. I highly recommend saving another scene. So saving another whole separate scene, or if you want, make a backup of your whole project. So what I want to do, save as, transitions. Make another scene, open it, just so you have a backup, just in case you mess something up. It happens. So first you want to find all the actual shaders itself, or the material, excuse me. Easy way to do it is open up your actual avatar itself, find the body or whatever part you want to change. So it could be for clothing, of course, too. Find the materials. So mine's right over here when you click on it. And if you leave the project window down here unlocked, it'll take you right to where all those textures are. I highly recommend moving these to another spot to make them a little bit easier to find. So what I'm going to do is click, shift click all the rest of these. And I'm going to, I think the easier way is just to move them. So click and drag up to the assets. I'm going to make a new folder. That's not what I wanted. Materials, just for myself to make it a little bit easier to move. And right now I am control clicking, so I can click individual things and don't click on that. Click and drag again, move them here. Cool. Now I have my shaders in one spot. What I recommend doing is duplicating the body or whatever part you want to actually transition. So duplicate the body, rename it to something a little bit easier for you to understand. So now we have two body materials. The other thing to do is find your extra textures you want to actually use for this. I believe there is already a pupper one in here. Yeah, there's a death wolf one in here, so I can use that. I'm actually going to take this material that's already pre-made for it, just so I don't have to worry about making it all over again. All you would do in the material itself is just rearrange the actual alphas and albedo, excuse me. So in this case, I would just click and drag the albedo I want into the spot. That's all you'd really do. I will go through another tutorial later of how to actually set up shaders properly. This is mostly just for transitions and stuff, so I'm going to show you the basics. Take this in materials. Now I have the body there and there. I'm going to go and delete the old one though. Excuse me. Cool. So I have my two materials, I can slap them on anytime I want, and they're there. That's all I really want to happen. Now for this, there is a second spot around the face, just because that's part of the actual FPX. It's the main right over here. I'm not going to worry about that for now, because that's just minor detail stuff. And later on, I will do a tutorial of what I do for all my avatars. Just my personal stuff I like to do. It'll be a long video, so if you guys want that, just let me know. But first we're going to get started with the shader. So first you want to do, change the rendering preset at the top. Make sure it's Poyomi, of course. Change that to cutout. So what this does is that it makes it so it can be fully invisible if it's not being shown. So I want, actually I can't really show it here. We'll skip that. Let's scroll down to the bottom where you see special effects. You should see dissolve right over here too. Make sure you have that check marked. Might take it a second depending on what it is. Change the dissolve type to point to point. And the edge color, I recommend doing something bright for you to see it. So I'm going to do mine very, very bright. I'm going to do a bright orange. Probably a bad idea because Unity uses orange, so I'm going to make it pink instead. Edge emission, let's do 2 right now. Change dissolve color, so click on the actual white part of it. See the part where it says the RGBA, that's the alpha. So change that to 0. So there's nothing behind, there's no color, no nothing behind it, it's just invisible. Emission strength, or default, excuse me, I actually want that one 0. Make sure you keep that 0, that is my bad. Dissolve noise, if you click on the little dot here, it'll bring up your texture menu itself. If you search noise, you get a bunch of different ones. You can custom make your own. I personally like the ones that they actually have here. I tried making my own, it did not work out very well. So I'm gonna go ahead and just pick one. Let's do this one. Change the strength. Usually if you change the strength on an avatar, you will start seeing it appear. But in this case, it looks like it's not. Maybe detail noise? I apologize. It's detail noise. Okay, now we got it. I apologize. I don't use 7.3 or 0.7.3 very often. I prefer 8.1 and up. So in this case, what we're gonna do, change the dissolve noise. I don't think this actually does anything, but I'd say do it just in case. If I delete it, we can see if anything actually changes. Change dissolve detail noise. So the detail noise is actually what gives it the edge. So if I change the strength, you can see it actually has the pattern in my actual body right there. And if you use the alpha slider down here, slide that up, you can start seeing your avatar slowly disappear until you just have the cursed eyeballs. So what I recommend doing, if you have a separate material like what I just did earlier, copy the dissolve actual entire section itself. So if you go up to the dissolve folder right over here, underneath special effects, there's the dots whatever here. You can copy this, go back to your other material, so mine is the Death Wolf one. Make sure you still set it to cutout. Go down to dissolve and paste. So now they're gonna have the same exact everything. I'm gonna turn that down to 0 actually, because I need to make this 0. And I just moved myself a little bit. Can you guys tell that me not having a script is doing amazing right now? Anyway, so we are now fully set up with our actual materials. So the fun part is going into animations. So what we want to do, make sure you actually show the animation window like this over here. So go to window, animation, animation. It should pop up somewhere. You can click and drag it anywhere else you want in the actual Unity program itself. I decided to nest mine right over here. Now what I fully recommend doing is duplicating your avatar itself and hiding the original. So you click on your main avatar, the hierarchy part right this, duplicate, go to the main one again, and hide it. So now you have a duplicate of your avatar itself in Unity. This is what I recommend doing if you're going to be doing any animation work, just because it could screw up your main avatar and you really want to avoid doing that. So I'm going to go to move to the side. So what we're going to do, make sure you go to the animation part like this. Find a good spot to put your new animations at. I'd say create a new folder. So custom animations. Go into that folder. I recommend creating another, animation controller or animator controller, just so you're editing stuff on a separate controller itself and you can keep track of it. Let's make transition, excuse me. Click and drag that onto the avatar you duplicated. So now you should see it right up here. Now we should be all set to start making animations. So make your first one, click create. I'm gonna do, so realistically, you need 3 animations. You need the base actual animation itself, where it's just showing the base texture itself, like what I am right now. You need one that transitions to the next one. and then you need one showing the next one. So you need 3 animations in total. So I'm gonna put T base, just so it's easier for me to understand. All we want to do in this, go to body, or whatever's gonna be changing. Find your materials. Excuse me, I forgot to lock that. So at the top right, if you guys don't remember this, there's a little lock up here. This will save you so much time and so much effort of anything. Click the lock up here. Then what you want to do is literally just drag whatever's going to be changing in, excuse me. All you want to do is click whatever is going to be changing. So in this case, the body. I'm going to take the new body, excuse me, put it onto the old one. Cool. Now we have a keyframe that just showed up right in the animation window. You guys can see that right up there. Take the old one right on top. So it still keeps that keyframe in that same spot. That's all I'm going to do. So now, all done with this animation. You could do this for the full body. In this case, I'm just doing a tutorial, so I'm not going to do the whole thing right now. So we have our base. We want T trans. So this is the transition one. So this is a little bit, this can be tedious if you make it. That's all I'm going to say. Alrighty, so what we're going to do, start recording. Scroll down to dissolve animation, right down here. Make sure you click animated with lock. So right click, animated with lock. So it shows an A right there. What I recommend starting is with the detail and strength, and then going down to alpha. So you want to make your first animation, or your first keyframe. All you want to do is flick it a little bit so it keeps the keyframe itself. So now we have 2 keyframes right up here. They show up right in our animation window. So it saved that spot. I recommend for transitions for body or anything else to be less than a second. Because that's definitely not a minute. I don't think it is. Anyway, so I recommend about 30 seconds, or excuse me, 30 nanoseconds, I believe. I'd say half of a second. Either way, I recommend half of a second to be fully transitioned out, so you being fully invisible. So at keyframe 29, I recommend getting everything up to there. So let's do a little bit of fun things. I'd say at about 10 seconds, strength should be full. So now we have the full bottom part of our legs gone, or going away. So from that frame up to about 29, and you guys can see the actual counter changing right up here. If you want, you can move right there just by, you know, selecting it, putting the number. Now in this one, I want dissolve alpha to be fully up. So now it's just eyeballs and fur. And then keyframe 30 is where we're going to switch the actual material. So we're going to drag the new one right up here. It should still be transitioned out, just because it saves it from the old one, or saves it from the current one. You know what I'm trying to say. Go back down, find it again. So we're on keyframe 30. So from 30, I would say to 50 should be the alpha. And then from 50 to 1 should be the strength. So now your full transition should be set. If you want to replay it, you can always replay it, but I recommend just scrubbing through it just to see itself. Disappears out and back in. And that's it. That's all you have to do for the transition. Pretty easy, right? It can be difficult, especially if you layer materials. Like say if I started doing the eyes, the fur on the cheeks, the everything including clothing, that's when it can be a little tedious. If you do just one transition, it's easy to start and it's really fun. It actually looks really, really good in game too, so I highly recommend looking into doing stuff like this. And now we have to make our last one, which is T, I don't know. Yeah, whatever you want to name it. All you want to do is just show what's actually transitioned. So in this one, just drop the new material on, and done. Now the fun part, or second to most fun part, I don't know. Anyway, you can delete your main avatar, or excuse me, you can delete your duplicate avatar. So delete the main. I'm reading main, and that's my problem. I keep reading main. All right, so we have our actual main avatar shown. So click the main hierarchy of it, click the check mark, it should show it, and it should still be there. Go to the animator of it. And in this case, it's the FX controller here. There's not much in here because I didn't put anything in here yet. Go to the plus, do body swap. Whatever you want to name it. Make sure you put the weight to 1. And then right up here, actually I'm going to move to the left side. I would make a bool. So let's do whatever you want. You're the only one that's really going to see this. Well, in this case, you guys are going to be seeing what I'm doing. Anyway, name the bool whatever you want. Now make sure you keep it, as in like copy and paste it everywhere, because you're going to be needing this in a good minute. Go to layers. Make sure you find where you kept the custom animations. You can lock the window, same thing down here. So what I would like to do, start with the base, transition, and the end. It's pretty easy once you start thinking about it, like how logical Unity actually is. So we have our 3 transitions there. For the 4th one, take transition again, or whatever transition one you named it. At the speed, do -1. So now it's in reverse. That's why we don't need 4 animations anymore. You just need 3. All you have to do for making transitions between each one, right click, make transition. Go between each one like this. Now in each one of these, you want to go to settings, get rid of fixed duration, and get rid of exit time. Then go in here where conditions is, paste the actual condition you need. So this needs to be true because I'm toggling it on to transition into it. And then the one going from the transition one, 0, 0, leave exit time on. Just because it has to actually have something in there. We're not keeping the condition true on this. It doesn't need to be because it's going to flow the same way. So now we're up here. Now to go back, we do similar things. Ooh, that's not what I wanted. 0, 0, get rid of exit time. I don't think fixed duration does anything in this case. Condition needs to be the same thing, but false. So we're going to toggle it off. And then from the transition back to base, same thing. So do 0, 0, leave exit time on. So we're all set in that now. Cool. So we did our first animation. Now, what you want to do is find your actual menu and parameters on the avatar itself. And in this case, there's a bunch of stuff in the same spot. Cool, there it is. Parameters, add, make sure you paste. So it's exact wording and exact lettering. So if you miss a capital or if you have a space in between or behind, it can make it so that your parameter does not work. Make sure you change it to the bool again. Make sure it's saved specifically. So in this version of VRChat SDK, there's no third line, but in this one you do still have the saved button. Make sure it is still saved. Next, you want to go to your menu, and again, still trying to find it. Menu, make a new control. Name it whatever you want. Needs to be a toggle, and parameter needs to be that same parameter again. And from there, we're all good. So I'm going to show you guys how it actually works. So let me find my emulator. And if you guys need help with any assets that I use on this, a lot of this stuff is free, so you don't have to worry about actually paying for any of it. This one I'm going to be using is the it's a Unity emulator of VRChat. So in Unity, you can use a lot of controls in the same type of things. There it is. I'm going to import that. So this is IUMA AV3 emulator. Cool, and it's all put in. Now, what I want to do is go up to, I believe, Tools. Yep, Gesture Manager Emulator. So this shows the actual Gesture Manager itself in Unity. It's really nice to do any editing work. just because you don't have to constantly swap between both, or just guess. Make sure you have it selected, press play. And your avatar should be doing its idle animation from VRChat, at least until you do anything. But the cool thing is, if you have it selected, your inspector should show the radial menu that you have in VRChat, as well as any gestures from the hands. This makes editing work so much better. So in this case, we just want to look at the transition. So we want to go to expressions over here and toggle. And look at that. We're all good. Now, if you have any issues with it, it tends to be something with your animation layer. And if you have any issues, of course, you can ping me or let me know. But that's it. So thank you guys. If there's any other tips, tricks, or anything you guys need for Unity, just let me know, and I'll try to see if I can make a video for it. Bye, guys.